Hi friends, today I have two books, Family Foraging, A Fun Guide to Gathering and Eating Wild Plants by David Hamilton and photography by Jason Ingram, and another foraging book, Foraging with Kids by Adele Nozadare, and she's the best-selling author of the Hedgerow Handbook. I will go over Family Foraging first. I got this last year. I did refer to it a lot in the spring and summer and beginning of fall, so it's a pretty useful book. It starts with foraging basics, and there's an introduction to why forage, and then it basically goes into the 4 seasons and what you can find in the 4 seasons. Foraging basics. Foraging can be a great way to connect as a family and get back in touch with the natural world. Getting started is simple. Discover what makes foraging so fun as you learn where to go, what to bring, and how to do it safely. And bring a beautiful little basket because that makes it all the more fun. I personally haven't done that, but it's certainly an ambition of mine. Usually I just use old tomato containers, so not as aesthetic. Why forage? For the adventure. The whole family can join in, and no more boring days out. It makes every day exciting, seriously, because you never know what you'll find in Mother Nature when you get into foraging. And then freshness. You can pick your edibles in their freshest state possible. So foraging, it's pretty much free, minus the gas if you're driving your car or minor things like that. Never, ever, ever eat a plant or mushroom unless you are 100% sure of what it is. Yeah, never. Definitely instill that into your children. Make sure that you read the book first. Read the descriptions thoroughly. Very thoroughly. Don't skim, don't speed read, right? Get a local guidebook so you can kind of cross-reference this book with your local guidebook, and make sure you don't have an allergic reaction. Look into that as best you can, right? Sometimes there's no way of knowing, but keep a lookout for polluted areas. You don't necessarily want to go foraging alongside a very busy highway because the edibles that you are likely to pick will be very polluted with exhaust. Wash your food because you could have all kinds of yucky stuff on your forageables. Worm eggs, ew, only what you need, because sometimes the birds and other creatures also enjoy eating what we might like to forage. Now that that's out of the way, what to wear and what to bring, it covers that as well. Boots, raincoat, sun hat, and sunglasses, protective gloves, and then you'll want to bring scissors and first aid kit, etc., sunscreen. All the goodies are covered there. And then where to forage. It kind of says if you are along the coast, what to do if you're along the coast, and woodlands and forests. That's really my cup of tea. And along the fields and meadows, farmlands, meadows, and hedgerows. How to do foraging in this sort of landscape. And for instance, what to find there in farmland, meadows, and hedgerows. Nettle, dandelion, goosefoot, hawthorn, sorrel, plantain, blackberry, elder, chickweed, cherry, goosefoot, plum, ramps, wild garlic, giant puffball, garlic mustard. What you need in the kitchen. After you bring home your edibles, your forageable items, you will need to prepare them oftentimes in some sort of manner. So it's good to have these items that the book covers: muslin cloth or coffee filter, saucepan, measuring jug, cupcake liners, baking tray, and some other little accoutrements, paraphernalia. Conservation, it does talk about conservation. Oh, and look at this cute little mouse. So adorable. Spring, where we are now. This is the basic layout. It goes through the forageable, in this case nettle, Urtica dioica, and it tells you a little bit about the plant. The nettle is a common herb with stinging hairs and toothed leaves. It grows in patches with a number of plants clumped together, can reach around 1 foot high, but can grow as high as 5 feet or even 6.5 feet. And then it tells you what the leaves of the plant look like, the flowers, and other characteristics. And it also tells you what to avoid as far as the plant goes. In this case, you will want to look out for the stinging nettles. And where does it grow? It's common in cooler, wetter countries found throughout the United States, Canada, and Europe. Where to find it locally? Nettles like rich, moist soil. They grow on wasteland, on the edges of woods, in parks and gardens, all over the countryside. Yeah, if once you learn to identify nettle, you will find it in many, many places. For every forageable plant, it does give you a nifty recipe. First thing you need to do with nettles is sort out those pesky stinging hairs by either drying out the nettles thoroughly or blanching them in hot water. And then it does give you the recipe: garlicky nettle pesto, a colander full of nettles. These are the ingredients would be for that: a colander full of nettles, cashews, large handful of ramps or wild garlic leaves, half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 1 teaspoon lemon juice, 2 to 3 pinches of salt, 2 tablespoons olive oil. So the recipe just kind of uses basic staples from your kitchen, and then it goes into incorporating other forageable items as well in some of these recipes. So anyway, that's the basic layout. Dandelions, they're popping up everywhere. Entire plant is edible. And you can make yummy coffee with the roots. Coffee. And it follows that same format, how to eat it, and then it gives a recipe, this case dandelion frittata. So yummy. Wild ramps, how to eat, and your recipe. So that formula is followed throughout the entire book. Like I said, this book I referred to many, many times this past year. Foraging with kids. I gotta be honest, this book, it's great, it's fantastic. Maybe not have it be your primary source. Main reason being is you don't have colored pictures in this book. And that's not to say the book's not wonderful and awesome, but when you are going to, when you are seeking to educate yourself on forageable plants, colored photos are paramount. You want to know what you're dealing with when you are picking something in Mother Nature and choosing to put it in your mouth, right? You hear me? I'm sure you do. Right. So this book, it's so awesome for cross-referencing, and it has its own perks for sure, but make certain that you are using this book in tandem with another book on foraging. It goes through fruits, berries, and flowers, wild herbs and weeds, fungi, garlic, onion, and mustard, trees, coastal plants. So this book categorizes the forageables not by season in which you may find them, but just in subcategories, which that does have its perks as well. Getting to know plants. There are lots of different ways you can use your senses to identify plants. Sight, touch, smell, and finally taste all come into play. But you do not want to use taste as your primary identifier. And then it also mentions drawing plants. The best way to learn to recognize plants is always to look at them very, very closely, then to have a go at drawing them. So that's an idea that this other book did not cover. After you are becoming familiar with a plant, to then maybe get a sketchbook and draw what you are finding and what you are learning about. So great idea there. Seasonal calendar. This is awesome. This part of the book is awesome because it will tell you exactly what forageables you can find likely in what part of the season. I'll show you a close-up of this. Yes, this table grid, so awesome. There's nothing complicated about going foraging. One thing is certain though, you will need to go outside. Really? Where to go foraging? Here's a secret. You don't need to head off into remote rural areas or the wilderness to find plants. Although these places are generally teeming with plants and other wildlife, I have found that the best foraging to be had is generally in towns and cities. Just watch the pollution there. Mindful foraging. It does talk about foraging etiquette, and that is so awesome. Something that we all need to be conscious of, as I've already kind of alluded to. Etiquette is a French word and means polite behavior. When we go foraging, it's important to remember that it's not just us humans that need plants to survive. Plants are vital to the entire animal kingdom. I have a feeling that you'll be very aware of this anyway, so please forgive me if I am telling you things that you already know. And then it goes into some rules of foraging etiquette. First subcategory of all of the items in this book, It goes right into the first forageable one can find, crab apples, and it gives the names around the world: French, German, Spanish, all of the different languages, many different languages, how to say crab apple in many different languages. And then it does cover the parts of the plant in question. Here's this diagram. Also, there are recipes in this book. Crab apple relish. Yummy. And then how can I recognize crab apples and where can I find them? So important to know, right, if you're looking for crab apples. And then the book just kind of follows that same formula. It gives you a diagram of the forageable, in this case wild cherries, some names of the forageable in different parts of the world. How can you recognize the plant or forageable? And then it does give a recipe also for every single forageable. So yeah, this book is awesome. Only thing that is a little bit, a little bit of a downer is that it's not in color, but nothing offers everything. So it's still, 4 out of 5 stars, but use it in tandem with another book. Super fun book. So I thank you for joining me today, and I encourage you to get out there, enjoy nature with your family, or just by yourself, or with your little animal friends, or whatever the case may be. So thank you for joining me today, and have a blessed day. See you next time, friends.